Hi everyone, this is Paul here from the Magdalene Centre. Today I'm doing the astrology report for the month of January, and I'll be outlining some of the key dates where key events are taking place, along with some overall themes that the month will be highlighting to us. But before I do that, I just want to clarify, as I always do, that the astrology doesn't control our lives. It gives us a framework to help us understand what is unfolding around us, what kind of lessons are there for us to be learning at this point in time, and the kind of key areas of growth that can be achieved at this time, especially if we choose to go with the natural flow of events rather than trying to force things to happen in our own way. But it's up to each and every one of us to take responsibility for our lives and to choose a course of action based on, or guided by wisdom, that will enable us to best make use of the energies available, because if the energies don't make things happen, it requires our participation for things to change. Now, in terms of the aspects this month, I'll just go through the dates first. So we'll have the Sun in Capricorn from the 1st of January up until the 20th, when the Sun will then move into Aquarius. And on the 1st of January itself, Mars is going to enter Aries. Now, whilst I wouldn't normally cover Mars's movement during the monthly reports, the fact that Mars is in his home sign from the first day of the year, at the same time we've got three of the outer planets in their home signs, is unusual. It almost never happens, so it's worth mentioning it. On the 6th, Uranus is turning direct, and on the same day we're going to have a solar eclipse in Capricorn. I've already mentioned that on the 20th the Sun will enter Aquarius, and then the following day we'll have the lunar eclipse in Leo. So there's a few events taking place, but the overall focus this month is going to have for us is taking assertive action to make things happen. So this is driven by Mars returning to his home sign of Aries, which prompts us to take action. It gives us that drive to make things happen. But it's important that in the process of taking this action, we make sure that it's guided by an understanding of the natural law, so guided by a bigger picture, so it's not just being driven by temporary impulses or temporary desires from the ego. It's guided by a higher picture, or a higher vision, if you like, that we want to manifest. And at the same time, the actions are tempered by the necessity of discipline, that they're kept under control through patience and self-control. And we understand that actions don't always necessarily yield instantaneous results, but action is a necessary requirement for anything to happen. We also have to have the patience and the perseverance to pursue a course of action, as long as it's guided by wisdom, in order for things to happen. So this will be an ongoing theme for about 8 weeks before Mars moves on into Taurus. So as I mentioned, at the same time we're going to have the Sun in Capricorn, so for the next 2 to 3 weeks we'll be focusing on, or the main focus that the Sun is highlighting to us is developing qualities like patience, perseverance, self-discipline, self-control, because these are all requirements necessary in order for us to keep our actions under control and to make sure that the course of action that we take, or the goals we set for ourselves, are based on a thorough understanding of who we are, and that these goals are aligned with that core sense of self. So one of the key things to remember is to know what goal is right for us. We must first know who we are. So it's important that one of the tools or resources of Capricorn, if you like, is solitude. And this does not mean that we cut ourselves off from other people, doesn't mean we isolate ourselves, but it means that we take some time out each day to be with ourselves, to get in touch with the core of who we are, in order to make sure that the actions that we're taking are actually aligned with this core sense of self, and that the image that we demonstrate in the public arena is based on, or a reflection of, our core sense of self. So we have this personal integrity where our actions are in alignment with who we are. The goals that we set for ourselves are based on carving out the niche that allows us to bring our unique talents to the forefront and channel our talents into a vocation of our own choice. It doesn't necessarily mean it's one that's going to make us famous, but something that brings us personal fulfillment and allows us to embody our true self at its highest potential. And we live with integrity, so if we say we're going to do something, we do it. And it's say what you mean and mean what you say. And with Saturn in his home sign of Capricorn, the Capricorn energy is particularly strong at this time, and it's a necessary reminder that if we want key change to take place, or if we want to be able to speak from a place of authority, we actually have to embody something. Because at the end of the day, talk is cheap. It's, are you walking your walk? And are you saying one thing and taking actions that are in harmony with that statement, or are we saying one thing and doing another? In which case, we're out of alignment, out of integrity, and we may well feel vulnerable to being revealed as being a bit hypocritical, because Capricorn is all about personal integrity, and it's also about moderation. It's understanding the necessity of tempering or controlling or denying immediate gratification or instant gratification, understanding that by delaying gratification for whilst pursuing something enables us to enjoy a bigger reward further down the line through avoiding the distractions. So the Sun in Capricorn reminds us of the need to cut away any unnecessary distractions, to cut away the superfluous and focus on the real. What is real for who we are? What enables us to be ourselves, to turn up or show up and be our best selves? So it's figuring out who we are and what we want to achieve that allows us to embody our core nature, so that we feel at home in the world, and when we're doing something we don't feel like a fake, because we're not doing something that's contrary to who we are. We're doing something in alignment with who we are, and we feel that sense of lasting satisfaction knowing that we've pursued something that is right for who we are. We haven't taken any shortcuts. Now we're going to have a solar eclipse in Capricorn on the 6th of January, so this is like a new moon on steroids, as it's sometimes put, and it opens the eclipse window where we may experience one phase of life is coming to an end and a new phase is being born. So, and we're doing a separate video on the solar eclipse to go into more detail, because there's too much to go into as it is. But with this solar eclipse, the key lesson for us to be learning or trying to embody is the need to have personal integrity, to make sure that we conduct ourselves and in a way so it's not only when people are there we're doing. It's what's important is what we're doing when no one else is seeing it. Are we still turning up? Are we still taking actions in line with the goal when there's no one there to go and validate us or to see it? So it's making sure that everything we do is based on honesty and personal integrity. With the solar eclipse being nestled between Saturn and Pluto, this further highlights the need to make sure that what we're doing is based on personal integrity, and is also making sure that it's not driven by a secret desire for power over other people. It's not driven by a need to control things. It'll also be sextile to Neptune in Pisces, so this brings in the more visionary or the imaginative qualities into it. So it's bringing imagination and realism together so that we pursue goals or pursue dreams in a way that's practical and realistic. On the same day, Uranus is going to turn direct in Aries. So with Uranus now direct at this point, there won't be any planets in the solar system that are retrograde. So this means that there'll be a major burst of forward activity. Everything is in forward motion. I may feel that frenetic drive to make things happen, to pursue goals, and to make the most of this forward burst of energy, because this is going to go on for over a month. If you don't include Pars Athena, then it's going to continue all the way through to about April, so through to March when Mercury turns retrograde. But with Pallas Athena, she's retrograde from the 17th of February, so either way, we've got over a month where everything is in forward motion. There's nothing retrograde to keep the energies in check. So it's vitally important we have a clear idea of what we want to be working on during this period, because it's a time of rapid manifestation, as it were, and we could just as easily manifest what we don't want as what we do. So we need to make sure that we know what we want to be creating at this time, and we're taking action aligned with it and cutting away any other desires which are at crossroads or cross purposes to what we want to be building at this time. So, as I mentioned earlier, the Sun will enter Aquarius on the 20th of January, so this moves us from focusing on ourselves and our own personal integrity to seeing how we can expand our sense of identity further through working in groups and moving towards a more collective understanding of who we are, and a more integrated, or understand that we're part of everything around us. Each one of us is whole unto ourselves, yet a part of a greater whole. So whatever gifts we have, or whatever talents we've nurtured through Capricorn in Aquarius, this is where the wisdom we've gained through personal experience is now ideally shared with others, and we seek to unite with like-minded individuals or people united by a common purpose. But it's also about understanding ourselves at the deepest level. It's about individuation, i.e. understanding who we are at the core of our being, it's understanding that part of us that would be the same no matter what culture we're raised in, that part of us that transcends social conditioning, and it's seeking to understand that part of us, and yet recognising that at this level we're also connected to everyone around us, so any actions that we take don't just impact us, they ripple outwards into the collective. And it's about seeking to share wisdom, but one thing we need to be mindful of is that we don't end up being arrogant, we don't become excessively detached, and we don't seek to operate from this idea that we're mentally superior to other people because of our understanding of things. If we have a higher level of understanding of the people, then it's our responsibility to try and share it with people who are ready to hear it. Not everyone's ready to hear that kind of level of thinking or that level of understanding, but if there's people who are genuinely seeking that level of understanding and we can help them, then it's important that we do seek to help that person, but in a way that empowers them as well. So it's not just showing how good we are, it's helping that person to realise their best selves in the process. Now, the day after, i.e. the 21st, we're going to have a solar eclipse in Leo. This will be the final eclipse related to the Leo-Aquarius axis, and it also brings a close to the eclipse window for January. The solar eclipse in Leo is all about, the lunar eclipse is all about our relationship with love and our ability to accept it. And it reminds us that for the collective health to improve, the health of the individual needs to be worked on, because it's understanding the collective level of, or collective consciousness is important to see how we're all interconnected in that respect. But for the health of the whole to improve, the health of the individual components needs to be raised as well, which means that we need to seek to become the best versions of ourselves, to take the part of the divine spark that comes from the collective that's within us and turn it into a flame that warms and nourishes other people. It's about understanding that we need to love ourselves in order to be able to receive love from other people, but it's also everything requires some degree of love in order to grow. For us to become the best versions of ourselves, we have to work with other people, we have to work in a spirit of love, because love is the true force that empowers us all. But if we struggle to receive love, if we're always avoiding it, then we're always going to be operating at half steam, we'll never be at full power. So it's important that if we're someone who struggles with love, if we struggle to give it or receive it, then we need to learn to recognise that we were born worthy of love, we were born deserving of love and belonging, but if for whatever reason being conditioned out of this, we then need to seek to overcome that. So it's learning to love ourselves regardless of any perceived flaws we may have, and it's also when we learn to embrace this love for ourselves, it allows that creative force within us to flow more freely, and this creative force adds fuel to the fire of our self-expression. It allows us to radiate our authentic selves, to create that emotional warmth that draws people to us. It allows us to provide warmth and nourishment to one another, and this then naturally raises the vibration of the collective through the individuals converting their own personal spark into a flame that brings light and brings warmth to the people around us. It allows us to shine a light brighter, and through encouraging other people to do and help them to light their own flame, through freely giving love and freely receiving it when people willingly love us unconditionally, we empower ourselves and we empower other people in the process. Because if we work on ourselves and become the best versions of ourselves possible and shine our light as bright as we can, the people around us naturally benefit. So for everyone else to, or for the community to benefit, we have to work on ourselves to be the best versions of ourselves and become the strongest version possible, because then we can become pillars of the community, and we can be a source of strength that the community can draw upon when there's struggles going on. But it's also showing other people, or being an embodiment of that emotional strength, that emotional warmth, and that creative power that allows new things to come into being, allows new creative inspirations to manifest, and allows the community to achieve far greater results than can be done through when we're doing things solo, or when people aren't working on themselves. So the health of the whole is dependent on the health of the parts at the end of the day. So that's some guide for January. There's quite a bit to take on board there, but the main thing to remember is that this is a month where action's going to be a major focus right from the get-go, and with Uranus turning direct as well, there won't be any planets retrograde after the 6th, so this will be a time to where we'll have that major push to drive forward, to make things happen. But it's also happening in the context of the eclipse window from the 6th until the 21st. So during this period, we need to become aware of what has outlived its purpose in its life, or what needs to be transformed, and what new beginnings are we seeking to create for ourselves. So it requires that we be honest with ourselves, that we pay attention to what's changing in our lives, what's seems to be naturally departing, and rather than trying to fight to hold on to something, if it doesn't belong in our lives anymore, we need to be able to let go of it, even if it's brought us comfort in the past. It's time to move on from that and allow a new chapter to be born out the other end of it. And it's often, the eclipse window can be like a reset period, where if we've been out of touch with who we are or out of alignment, the eclipse window often can serve as that cosmic kick that gets us back on track again, gets us out of the rut and gets us going. But if we want to maximise growth in January, then we need to take action, but it needs to be guided by patience, discipline, self-control. It needs to be guided by an understanding of the bigger picture that's unfolding and the creative vision or higher vision we want to manifest. And Neptune in Pisces reminds us that it's important throughout this process that we don't lose touch with our spiritual side, we don't lose touch with compassion or empathy in the process of pursuing our goals. We don't forget that we're part of something greater than ourselves, we're part of a collective consciousness. So what we're doing now has an impact on everything else, and as long as things are guided by unconditional love, compassion, and its honest desire for truth, then we stand a good chance of manifesting the goals we want to set for ourselves, as long as we also maintain patience, discipline, and personal integrity. So may January be a month of significant growth and transformation for you, and may bring you closer to realising key dreams. Take care, and may be blessed by the energies of January.